The video you are bravely setting course to watch is a table talk video, which means this is the discussion which takes place prior to the session itself starting and following the conclusion of the session. So the video itself is lightly annotated with which section of discussion it is, pre or post play, and the topic of discussion. So the topics in this one are about recaps and the events of the session, because this was the conclusion of an episode, and getting ready for the next one, because it turned out that this was part 1 of 2. So there is a lot of very direct conversation about the events of play, both from a fictional perspective and from a system perspective. So I think it has some real value. Anyway, engage. All right. Anything we need to discuss before we do the opening spiel? No? Okay, good.
I can think of, yeah.
Excellent. Does anyone want to do the recap who's not me?
I'm not
I don't
sure
mind
if I
doing it,
managed
but
to finish. Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's your tradition, I mean, unless you need
it's
a
my
hand with
tradition that we do it at the start and end of an episode. It's not my tradition that I do it, but there are some times where I need to do it because I'm tired.
Because we're all confused.
Or yeah, there's that too. Like there are times when I need to do it for reasons, and there's times when I don't. And this is a time when I don't.
Excellent. I should like to point out as a footnote that would be potential malfeasance to you.
I wonder what Stone. I mean, he probably would have said the perfectly correct by the book.
Potential malfeasance, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and that sounds good to me. All right.
Okay.
Excellent. I wonder if Telek's going to be in command, or whether he's actually going to be whisked away from us. In which case, yeah.
One thing that you will see when you look at the preparation for this episode, which I'm going to count as done, even though there's
no, it's a court of opinion. Yeah, the court. That's resolved. That's resolved.
One thing you'll see is that it had been my idea from the beginning that Tillich and Jim don't go on leave. They, the crew exchange flips, and so he was going to board an Andorian vessel. Right. But as I noted, the kind of the interest in the artifact, the Anders thing, then we evolve into things that this hearing could mean, which means holding Tillich. So it's something to think about for.
Yeah, in which case
2.
I wouldn't mind keeping Jim. Just
Jim's
so we still
cool,
have
right?
our. Yeah, we haven't really.
Well, we still have time. We'll have to have Jim.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I'm not following that part, but we'll figure it out. Okay. Well, there we go. I think you've kind of got your threat management and usage wheels under you for this group now.
Yeah, I had a couple left over.
Right, but still, dialing it down that far is sort of my goal in life these days.
I had 14 at the start of the session, and I have 3 left now.
And you gained a couple on the way, so you actually, yeah.
Maybe
so that's a pretty nice usage in the final phase of the episode. Through everything you had out of basically. Jeez, you really had me going with the whole beating up poor Booba there. I mean, it's like you were kind of like, you're saying, so gee, I wonder, can I roll to resist this? And I'm like, You know, it's like, when wouldn't you roll to resist this?
So there's a lot. That was kind of an interesting thing, right? I mean, to resist, in a sense, you create advantage to counter problem on the mechanical level, right? So it's 2 momentum spent. But because of the situation, the momentum got taken away and then wasn't being rebuilt.
Momentum, yeah, we did not quite manage to get the rolls to bulk up our momentum for the last bit. So we were squeaking it out at the end rather than riding the momentum, which is kind of nice.
So how does she resist, right? And then that's why I spent the 2 threat. The complication now costs double to remove.
Right.
Right. So I was thinking about that.
That's when it became, the compulsion became, level 2. So now it's 4 momentum to get rid of this thing. Right? So that she's not going to have this dramatic scene with Booba, who we barely know.
Right. She's totally like racked in the thing's grip at that point. So yeah.
So then she gets to appear at the end with Booba as prisoner, and she's wrestling her values.
Well, she couldn't bring herself to kill him, or anything like that. So she brought him along, and I like it. It was a nice meaty actors scene for everybody involved, which is nice. And I really like Yang just totally like keeping his head the whole way through. And the crucial ripping that artifact away from her was great, because I really didn't want to fire on it while she was holding it. So that made all the difference for me.
Because any complication there is friendly fire or
absolutely all the words. I have no I don't think he could have done it. So yeah, that's a thing. And I finally realized, that thing's got to go. That thing has to go.
3 episodes, it lasted long enough.
I know. It's time. That thing's got to go. That's solved our. But so the Potemkin's warped out, but the artifact is no longer like emanating. So how does that affect the crew of the Potemkin now? Or the crew / the motley band of multiple origins on the Potemkin now, I should say.
Right.
And we also need to have some idea of how many people are on there. Okay. I kind of like the fact is, you sons of bitches, you caused all this trouble, and but you're exactly the same people. We need to go fix it.
Nothing says the 70s quite like that.
I know. Yeah, it's like, exactly. So I definitely see that.
So will there be a, commendation review or the next? Next episode.
I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be an interesting little list now.
No, there's going to be a lot of no's there, I think.
Yeah, I know. That second list is going to rack up a few, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm tempted in a way to hold off until the end of part 2.
Yeah.
Because it is one great big arc thing.
Yeah. For the commendation thing.
It's very difficult in a role-playing game to conform to the episodic nature of these things. You end up with a lot of 2-parters. You end up with a lot of continuity that wouldn't be in a show of this kind, unless the game design really enforces it. I mean, like super enforces it. Like Primetime Adventures has a very solid episodic structure, and even so, the option to turn 2 sessions into a special long episode is there explicitly for that reason. So it's really hard to do that.
With the game, we didn't have any 2-parters, but we built it like a later season of The Next Generation, in that there was a background mission that was important. There was individual episodes that were totally distinct, that all served, like, part of each episode talked about their plan of trying to figure out what the Romulans were doing, right? But in this one, my intent at the beginning was to never do this, and to have no season-long backstory, but then you wanted an artifact that you had, not an
Well, I
experience
rolled the
like
damn
the
thing.
city.
I
Well, yeah, but I
rolled the
mean,
damn thing, but you're right. I said I had it rather than
had
just having
experienced it.
encountered it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've got the
Right.
city on the edge of forever kind of experience versus the mirror in the mirror universe of Kirk's thing experience. So that meant
Right.
a certain kind of continuity. And so I said, okay, well then,
Well, and it
continuity.
also, I mean, I don't know about the characters in your other game, and they may well have been quite meaty, but it just so happens that we ended up with fairly meaty characters and a pretty solid starting concept that was full of complications. It wasn't just, oh, there goes the ship across the, across the screen doing what the ship always did.
Right.
No, this is the Avicenna. It's coming loaded with, with implications, and then our characters walked in bearing, arguably a little too much in their backpacks, that at least too much for just having monster of the week, right?
Yeah.
Too much for that.
There's things that are going
So
to
right.
continue or will feel that way.
Right.
So, yeah, so I jettisoned that
Mm-hmm.
that notion of pure,
Right.
well,
Pure
like
episodic.
the
Yeah.
original season, original
Yeah.
series, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect this to become a two-parter until I said part two,
Oh, it just came straight to you, huh? All right.
because of how many things I would have to talk about, right? And it becomes another long, in order to
Right.
make it have an ending, right? So it's like, no, screw this. They warp out of orbit,
Yeah, maybe
and there's
so.
part two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of a question. It could have just they got away, and then yeah, and it's not the Avicenna's problem from now on. But we do seem to be the kind of thing you would go send after something. So
right. And
yeah.
there's the other conceit that the Enterprise was always ever the only ship in the
In
quadrant.
your area.
So that's you now
Right.
in this
Right.
moment. So
Right.
that felt
All right.
like the right kind of ending to go for. And so that means I do want to look at the reputation stuff at the end of the
next round.
subsequent episode.
Right.
But
Which
in
may
terms
not
of,
be as many sessions depending on how we do it.
right.
Depends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, if it's
I'm
really
certainly
focused.
not trying to go for 4.
Right. Right.
I just want things to have enough room to breathe, but not so much room that I don't feel like it's an episode either. But I do want to do the experience section. So it's unlikely that either of the main characters will qualify for the individual things, but I do want to go through that process. Okay. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it for me.
Okay. Thanks for
Yeah.
using the
Thanks,
ship
Trevor.
map. I appreciate it. People.
With a little bit of prompting on your part, but certainly happy to do it. Maybe I should print it out and keep it here in my Star Trek file. That would be better than because
Oh,
I'm sort of allergic to clicking around on screens while I play. That's really
well, now
that's
that
why
you
I'm
brought
always
it up,
asking for numbers and stuff like that.
the ship rules are going to be much more interesting in the next episode. Actually,
That's true.
how are you say?
That's going to be cool. We get to actually, we get to ride our
we
ship.
actually get
again.
to rev the engines now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And what
Up against our
kind
former
of
commander
target
too.
is the Potemkin?
Well, it's understaffed for one thing.
It was bigger, I remember.
Right. It's the crew also. It is bigger, but the crew isn't as seasoned in terms of working together. And who knows what their weird compromise is? I mean, their mandate evidently is to get to that unknown system, right?
That's
Which we know where they're going after all, right?
Or you'll be able to kind of unseal the records.
That's what I plan on it. Believe me, we'll unseal them with a torch if I have to. So yeah, that we can do. Cool.
All right. I'm going to miss my Starbase 11 backdrop. I've been enjoying the shuttles flying
It's
around.
nice. Yeah. That's okay. Out into the sea of space.
Yeah, back to our very cool complex
Um,
games apologist provided Avicenna models.
Yes.
All right. Then, if there's nothing else to discuss,
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
take care.
Okay. I'll see you all.